Where, you know what I mean? See what's going on.
Welcome. I am Johnny DeStanton. We have Reginald Perryman, Shaka Williams, and we are TSARE. This is the There's Something About Real Estate podcast where we talk all things real estate. So let's jump into it. Right. I'm like, okay, what happened? Did I talk over the intro again?
Oh, no, you good. So we wanted to go over some market stats today. So as of today, right now, this second, and today is August 20th, we got 235 new listings. And this is according to Real Comp. So this is like more of the Metro, Detroit, Wayne, Oakland, Macomb County. And today is Saturday. But we got 235 new listings, 14 coming soon, 9 went contingent, 46 accepting backup offers, 94 price decreases, but 7 price increases. So let me tell you, so when people see that, why did they increase the price? One, either they made improvements and they want a new price, or there was an error when a person entered the listing. So maybe they entered the listing at 169 when it should have been 196. So there was an error in that. So that's why you would see a price increase. 26 are back on the market, meaning they were pending and the deal fell through.
Buyer's remorse.
And 129 are pending, 69 sold. So they probably closed yesterday, but they probably wasn't recorded until today. And conditional withdrawal was 16, unconditional withdrawal was 13, expired was 34. So conditional withdrawal mean that the listing was removed from the MLS with conditions, meaning that more than likely they're going to put it back on the market. Maybe something happened where they need to temporarily remove it from the market. Unconditional means they just completely removed it off the market and they got rid of that contract with that agent. So there you have it. Today's stats as of August 20th. I know this episode probably won't show until later, but this just gives you some insight on what we're dealing with today. So what do you have?
I mean, I had some stats in terms of like matrices from like, so it's the month end for July. So like in 2021 in July, we had 2,649 new listings.
Right.
And in July of 2022, we had 2,574. So it's a 2.8% change in terms of how many new listings came available last year.
So there's an increase in inventory, but it's not like staggering numbers like people would think.
Yeah. Well,
actually,
it's a decrease. It was a decrease in terms of like, how many were listed.
Hold on, is that going from January to right now? Or January to
July of 2021 to July of 2022.
So
year to date.
The year to date would be 14,422 was the number
of listings.
Yep.
For
2021.
Right.
And then your year to date for 2022 is how many?
15,622.
So that's the increase.
So that's what?
And it's a positive increase, an 8.3% increase.
8%, which is still not staggering, right?
That's not what they said it was going to be from all the foreclosures and everything.
So we got roughly about 8% more properties on the market than we did this time last year. But that's not enough to absorb all the buyers that were in the market.
Right.
Only
the media is enough to do that.
Yeah.
Like John was saying.
Yeah. That's good. So what else going on in the real estate world today? I'm going to shut this laptop down.
Yeah.
So we can talk about
wait, we got to do the month supply inventory.
All right, go
The
ahead.
change is it's a 20% plus, you know, in a positive direction.
From last month to this month, or
No,
from
from
last
last
year?
year to this year. So in
Okay.
2021, it was
So we got more months of
yeah,
inventory. All right.
exactly.
So
So that's the
so people understand that. So a lot of times when we're looking at market stats and data and everything, we look at the current supply of properties that's on the market and how many months it would take to absorb all of those properties. So the months of inventory has increased.
right.
All right. So that
Slightly.
means basically your house can sit on the market longer,
Mm.
which is not bad because what's the average number of months you said?
On a number of days,
Yeah,
Days on
days
market.
on the market.
it was so year to date would be 24.
24 days on the market. So your house sits on the market 24 days. Don't start crying
Mm-hmm.
after 10 days, right?
Right.
Expected.
But again, traditionally homes set on the market 30 to 60 days, if not longer. It's just normal.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep, there we go. What are you guys seeing in the market right now? As far as what are your buyers saying? What are they doing? What are the sellers saying? What are they doing?
So what I'm seeing, I'm gonna tell you what I'm seeing first, and then y'all can go. It really goes to what John was saying.
Right.
Because I really feel like they're trying, like everybody's trying to force a buyer's market. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I feel like that's what they're trying to force. That's all the information is out there with the increased interest rates.
Right.
Like I got listings that are coming on that are not priced too high. They're priced correctly, which we were going to do,
Right.
but we'll do some from home, where people are, and they're not on the market that long, where the buyer's agents are coming with crazy offers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, bruh, are you kidding me? Yeah. So I mean, actually, Janita, we just had one. We ain't gonna talk about it all the way, but we just had a crazy offer, like $26,000 less
Right.
for a
The
house
price
that
was already reduced for the market.
yeah, and that you can't find. Like you bruh,
Mm-mm.
where you gonna go find this house at for this number?
So here's the thing, right?
Mhm.
If buyers are patient, they can find a good house and a good deal.
Mhm.
But if sellers are patient, they'll get their price.
There it
Exactly.
is.
Because
Mhm.
I had a property, 2 deals fell apart, buyer financing. And then it came back on the market. For like 2 weeks, it was just like crickets, no activity or anything. Then all of a sudden we get 6 showings in 2 days, just
Mhm.
out of nowhere. And some of my newer listings, it's nothing for the first week, maybe a couple showings. Then the following week, all of a sudden we got 7 offers. And it was like, what were the agents and the buyers scared to go initially because they thought, oh, we're gonna have to compete?
Mhm.
And then they all said, well, it's still there. Let me try to get it. Now
Yeah.
everybody's thinking
And
like,
then y'all told them
we-
don't call you and ask.
yeah, we got like this herd mentality. Everybody move together or don't move at all.
Right.
So it's like, where was y'all at the first week? Because y'all could have got it at full price. Now,
Which if you had a good realtor, you would have got it.
yeah, you would have went the first day.
Yeah, but that's crazy because I didn't want to. I was talking to Reggie yesterday. We normally talk some real estate, and I'm like, we're gonna say this for the show, but literally 2 new listings, 0 showings,
Right.
like no showings. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like for real, and no. So then the first thing the sellers ask is, think it's priced too high?
Yeah.
No, it's not priced too high. You know what I mean? For whatever reason, the media has scared people from jumping on houses. That's what I think. I feel like the media and including social media, all the media, the actual experts and the fake experts have scared people from.
Yeah, I had a
buying
buyer
house.
tell me yesterday that the market is shit. You think I should just wait because the market's shit right now? I said, you believe it's shit?
Right. Like it's about to crash and
And she
burn.
said, yeah, you don't think so? And then they put the question back, and I'm like, I don't think so. And you want a history lesson? And she was like, yeah. So we went through,
Yeah, it's like all the buyers like, I'm gonna hold off on buying. This was in 2020. Because I think everything's gonna fall apart. Then 2021, a house worth 30,000 more. Like I should have brought. So yeah, it goes back to what we mentioned in a previous episode. You got to let the numbers determine things, not what you feel, not what the media is saying. What do the numbers say? What makes sense financially? And that's where a lot of people lose out on opportunities at.
And you gotta look at all the numbers. You can't, and
Right.
you gotta compare apples to apples. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you do have to go look at historical data. That data
Yeah.
that she just was looking at as well. You know what I mean? You got to
Yeah.
compare it to the year prior to, instead of just like you said, looking at what it says from month to month, because you got to understand what's causing that.
Right. What's going on with like co-op?
That data
Yeah.
that she just was looking at as well. You know what I mean? You got to
Yeah.
compare it to the year prior to, instead of just like you said, looking at what it says from month to month, because you got to understand what's causing that.
Right. What's going on with like co-op? Are you seeing like them approach offers different, or are their listings different? What are you seeing going on? Because I've turned down quite a few more listings because the sellers were unrealistic,
Hmm.
and then the few properties that I did list where we agreed, okay, I'll try your price, but reduce it later. The
Mhm.
co-op agents are brutal. Like, man, this thing is way
Way over,
overpriced.
right?
Can't wait to show it to the seller.
Mhm.
Like, they're just because
You
we
mean on
count
the
on that
feedback?
feedback.
Mhm.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
count on that feedback, not only from the agents but from the buyers.
Yeah.
So, what are you running into with co-op agents? What are those conversations?
I'm not having a whole lot of conversations. I'm getting a lot of people calling. You kind of get the people where maybe like if they have like a strong buyer, they're not as vocal. And
Right.
then you have the person who's probably been running around with their buyer. And then you have, so like one of the house that Shaka was just talking about is kind of unique in terms of like the square footage.
Right.
It's like that traditional colonial with all of the bedrooms, all of the bathrooms, decent basement, decent yard.
Right.
And so then you get people kind of like they just really want to get into it because it fits the family.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like, okay, well, if they don't write an offer, is the feedback enough to really get an understanding of like, well, what actually happened?
Yeah.
So I haven't really had a whole lot of conversation myself.
I have. So
I
my
have.
feedback has been crazy. So I think it's crazy for the realtors, the buyer's agents to say, my client is very interested. I get a lot of very interested, but then y'all come with a BS offer.
Or no offer.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you not that interested. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like how you can't be that interested.
I think
Mhm.
sometimes too with the feedback that we get from agents, it be their interpretation of what's
Not the
going on,
client.
not the actual client.
Mhm.
Like, oh, my clients really like this house. How you know they like it?
Right.
Right.
Where the offer
They
at?
ain't write an
They ain't
offer,
there,
right.
You know?
But we
Yeah.
were talking about, so I know we called and asked. I'm gonna read this. It's not a very long text.
And while you're doing that, I want to talk about, so I get an offer on the property. It's been on the market 4 days. No offers. There's no information, no wording or anything on the listing to say we have multiple offers,
Mhm.
right? Agent writes the offer. This the 5th day on the market. Writes it 5,000 above asking with a 5,000 appraisal guarantee.
Hmm.
Normally you would be like, oh yeah, this is a good offer. But in this situation, that's like a red flag, because I'm like, why would you write above asking with appraisal guarantee and there's no competition on the property? And I immediately told my seller, I said, here's an offer. I have to present it to you, but I know this agent oversold this property,
Mhm.
probably telling the buyer that, look, if you want it, you got to bid, you
Mhm.
got to come strong, right?
Mhm.
And when that happens, people back out. So that's exactly what I told my seller. Scheduled the inspection. Agent calls me back the next day. Oh, my people backing out. I said, well, now this is an average condition home, no major issues. The only thing I could think could have came up was it had some of the supply lines to the bathroom. The water was running slow that I could see, right?
Mhm.
So I'm like, well, they don't want to negotiate repairs. What came up? No, they just changed their mind. They just didn't like the inspection report.
Mhm.
Well, will you share like some of the
Anything?
items, anything, so I don't keep bumping my head? Well, no, they don't want to share it. And I'm like, no, they just was over.
Yeah, it was
They
buyer's
overbid it.
remorse. It's called buyer's remorse.
Buyer's remorse. And I'm seeing that a lot more now, where the agent is overselling, and then the buyers are like, well, shit, why did we do this? You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And now they're backing out and they're using anything they can do to escape that contract.
So what do you put in place of that? I mean, because I automatically think if, really wasn't a whole lot of competition, did they call and ask you about anything?
They didn't call anything. They just showed the house and was like, hey, I'm writing the offer. Got the offer. It was above asking with appraisal guarantee. You expect to see that if I said,
Right.
yeah, we got multiple offers,
Highest
or I
and
put in
best.
the highest and best due. There was no reason to write it over. And I know from working with certain agents that they're overselling their buyers.
So maybe instead of overselling the buyer, if you don't really have enough information or feedback, maybe lead with an escalation clause. But even in terms of appraisal guarantee, you can lead with an escalation clause.
But on the list side, I just have to present to the offer to the seller and let the seller decide. But from my experience, I had to tell the seller, this is a red flag to me based on the status of the property.
That's what he's saying.
I get what you're saying. You're saying red flag. This buyer is likely going to we may not see this contract fully through because this buyer may come back with buyer's remorse.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, and maybe educating people that are in the business on how to make, because they don't want to lose that contract either, right?
Well, they oversold
the agent.
I get that.
Well, I'm saying the agent is trying to sell somebody on the house. So the only thing you can do for that person, I hear what you're saying, but for that person that's trying to, basically, they don't care about their client. They trying to get their money. They overselling them on the house. You get what I'm saying? I hear you're talking about something a little bit different. You're talking about an agent who maybe don't know how to write an offer.
No, I'm speaking from a term. I think sometimes you don't really know how to assist there because you're dealing with somebody in their house and they probably telling you, oh, I really like this house. Oh, I really don't want to lose this one this time. And then, maybe, who knows, they may have put an offer in before and understand how to bid. They could have, jumped out and said, let's do this like this. Now, what I'm saying is, what could a person, because we just had that with clients, and when I had to pull the clients back and say, okay, I understand you really love this house. I would love it for you.
Right.
But let's not just jump out the gate, straight out the gate. Let's lead with an escalation clause, because at least if you put an escalation clause in place, the buyer could potentially get the house for not as much.
In other words, they could have offered full price with an escalation clause up to that $5,000 that they were willing to offer. So they could have just got it at full price.
So what I'm wondering is, if they had not potentially, because we don't know, but potentially we could maybe avoid buyer's remorse if the buyer doesn't feel like pressed.
But we can't say, no way in the world y'all thinking that $5,000 above appraisal guarantee, above appraisal was the issue.
Okay, well,
that's not high enough. If it was 60,000 or something, then I hear you. And so why you lead with any of that? The house been on the market for 5 days. You can start doing what Janita said first. What she always said: call and ask Reggie. Hey, Reggie, do you have any offers? Not
and that
right
was
now.
Never a conversation.
You know what I'm saying?
That's why it was a red flag to me, because so it's two parts. So as a listing agent, my fiduciary duty is to the seller. So if you want to offer me more than what we're asking, I'm not going to call you and be like, you don't need to offer less that much, right? That's not my job. But my job is to advise my seller based on the way this was presented, based on the lack of communication with the agent. I don't feel strongly that this deal is going to go through at this price, if it goes through at all, because a good agent would have called and said, hey, I'm writing an offer. Do you have any other offers? So the agent could have said to their client, hey, we don't have nothing to compete with. I know you really like this house and you lost out on others and you want to overbid, but according to the listing agent, there's no competition. So why go so far above and beyond? And then if I would have gotten another offer, I would have called, and then they could have made the adjustment at that time. But it's just the communication factor. But then you still got sellers trying to price as if the market is still what it was 6 months ago. And you still got agents on the buy side. They're still reacting to a market that's not even there.
Right.
And that's the point I'm making. She's submitting an offer as if this was, January 22. Right. And that's just not the case.
So are you saying that, are you calling this particular situation buyer's remorse though? Potentially?
No, I'm
No.
calling it bullshit because the agent pissed me
Mhm.
off because I
Well,
knew
the reason
what.
why I'm asking you that because we got 26 houses back on the market based on the stats you read, and they're not
Yeah.
all because of the inspection, not all because the financing fell through. They could be because of buyer's remorse, because people made multiple offers on multiple houses.
I would think the majority of them is because of that.
26.
I think a lot of them came back on the market due to finance.
That's what I said. Yep.
Because most of those wouldn't have went pending until after the inspection. Because I
Mhm.
marked mine as accepting backup
Backup
offers,
offers.
so it was never marked pending
Mhm.
to get that BOM status. Because I know, like, I'm not going to take it off the market until the inspection period. Every other agent that was scheduled to show that property called me the day it was marked ABO and was like, "What's going on?" I said, "The inspection is Monday. Check back with me either late Tuesday, early Wednesday." And that's exactly what we did. So it would have never had that BOM status.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I think most of those in the stats are actual deals that fell through, probably due to financing or whatever reason buyer and seller didn't agree on something later down the
Mhm.
line.
I don't.
I do. I mean, I think it's never been. I mean, there is buyer's remorse, but it's not that high.
Yeah,
Like,
it may
that's
not be high. I'm not saying all 26 of them are due to buyer's remorse, but I think that several of them, you definitely had some situations where the buyer had a little bit of remorse, changed their mind, or they're really trying to get the property and they bid on 3 properties and the one that they really, really wanted most, they got, and then they backed out the contract or something like that.
I got
Because
one.
you do have a lot of people that go to accepting backup offers, but you have some people and also some contracts that come in that state that you have to market pending upon acceptance.
Huh?
All right.
Oh, right. I wouldn't accept under that
I
those contracts.
I got one. So, I guess today's show we're gonna talk about co-op agents. So
Mhm.
I I can't explain enough times when I tell an agent it's not my fucking house. It's the seller's house. I don't make the decision. So I got an offer. The house is 199. The buyer offered 190 with 5,700 in concessions. The seller countered back at 195 with 5,700 in concessions. So not a
Mhm.
bad deal. The house actually appraised from the previous deal for 210. So the seller knows that, but the buyer financing fell through, like we mentioned earlier. So the seller is like, I'm already listed below what it appraised for. So you making this offer for less. You want me to take 190 and give you 5,700 in
So
concessions.
185.
So he's like, I'm cool with 195 and giving back 5,700 in concessions. Agent responds, per my previous offer, I think is more than fair. 190 with 5,700 in concessions. You only have one FHA offer because we had another offer on the table at the time this was submitted. The other offer was for 205. The issue was that buyer's offer was contingent upon them selling their other home, which was on the market. My seller, like, nah, I don't want to really wait on them to sell their house, but it was a better offer
Not
as
even
far
for
as net.
$10,000.
Yeah.
Right. So you only have one other offer that's a FHA that you are not going to accept. How the hell he know we not going to accept it? I never said that.
Mhm.
I just told him the other offer was FHA, yours is conventional. That's the only reason the seller may consider it, and it doesn't have a contingency, right?
Mhm.
So he said, you have another offer on the table you're not going to accept. So he keeps saying you,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So then he said, the listing has been on the market for 50 plus days. That's a long damn time. No, it's not.
Right.
Not when it fell, not when this is the house we had 2 deals fall apart due to financing. City inspection work done, FHA repairs done, and the seller did mold remediation. All within this 50-day
Mhm.
timeline, because we had a deal fell apart first week, rate went up, buyer didn't qualify. Next deal came through, ran us 20 days, buyer had some credit issues, fell through. 50 days is not a long time, technically, because we wasn't actually on the market for 50
Mhm.
days. We were off the market for most of that time period. So he says, the listing has been on the market 50 plus days. We both know the market is shifting and not in the seller's favor. Right? Let's get this one wrapped up. 190 plus 5,700 in seller concessions My client wants to stick to its original offer. Please let me know what you would like to do. Motherfucker, it's not my house. Like I don't understand why agents approach the listing agent
What's
like
the saying?
it's
not you catch more bees with honey.
but it's not my
Like, what
house.
is he
It's
talking
like,
about?
you know, and I just basically respond, look, I said, I understand it's not my decision. It's up to the sellers. I will let them know your buyer's sticking with their price.
Mhm.
The next reply I get back is from the loan rep because he CC'd the loan rep.
Mhm.
And the loan rep says, yeah, I understand. Let us know what your seller decides to do, and we'll try to work out something with the concessions,
Mhm.
right? But the whole approach is off.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right, because it's like we're doing business, we're representing buyer and the seller, and I understand you representing your client, but all your language is directed towards me. The house can sell for 175 or it can sell for 200, but I don't make that decision. It's up to the seller.
Mhm.
So,
And it's not even like you came in with price and terms. I could understand the annoyance or the aggravation from the co-op agent if you came in with price and terms and you're like, okay, why y'all not signing the papers?
But that's not even the case. The point I'm making that you could have offered 100,000. You could have offered above whatever it is not my decision. He keeps saying, well, let me know what you want to do. Well, when you gonna make a decision? And I'm like, dude, I flip houses, but not this one.
Right.
Right. It's not my house. Nowhere on anything does it says it's my house. And the conversation, the communication, everything was expecting immediate response back from me.
Like you.
And I'm like, dude, I gotta talk to the seller, then he gotta talk to the wife, then she gotta make a decision. He's not making a decision without her. He don't get off work at 6. You know what I'm saying? He can't talk on the phone in the middle of the day. It's like, so the reason I bring this up is because as a consumer, when you're working with, because we end up working with deals, and we just got the inspection, the seller said they're gonna do the few repairs that came up. But
That's crazy.
yeah, but the price, everything is in favor that the seller was comfortable price-wise, and the concessions, it all made sense at the end of the day. And there was only 2 like cracked windows. It was small repairs that came up. But the thing is, the buyer and the seller never seen that conversation, right? Or
Right.
I don't know if his buyer's seen it, but at the end of the day, sometimes if I was like an asshole agent, I'll be like, I'm not dealing with this agent. You know what I'm saying? You could take that the wrong way because you keep, and there's agents that would have turned that conversation on the buyer side. Well, why are you not getting back to me? Why are you not doing this? And I'm like, dude, it's not my decision. I can only wait on the seller to decide. They're not calling me every 5 minutes. They're not check. They got a life. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I hear in that conversation that I want to talk about is the sellers and just being patient,
Right.
right? And I understand that seller had some other issues, so they probably was running out of patience.
Yeah.
But you got an appraisal at $215,000,
210. Yeah.
210,
Right.
and you coming down to one. I mean, they're asking, are you willing to settle for
Right.
195 with 5,700 in concession? So you at 190. That's $20,000 less
Yeah.
than what you.
Well,
so this
our
person is coming-
original list price was only 199. Keep that in mind.
but now you got the appraisal. So
Right.
that's cool.
But it wasn't like we was gonna go back and adjust the price.
And it's an
'cause-
FHA appraisal.
Yeah,
right?
it was an FHA, and a new deal is conventional, so a new appraisal is gonna be needed anyway, and ain't no
Yeah,
telling.
they could have went
where
with
that
that.
came-
Understand all that. But
Right.
my point is, if you be a little bit more patient, you could have potentially had up to $20,000 more by being patient. You can't
Possibly, yeah.
So what I think sellers probably need to understand in this market right now is that buyers are thinking, maybe through agents like that one, that they are in control. And I know
Right.
they have a little bit more control. They're not, how they were 6 months ago.
Right.
But I just don't feel like, I feel like the seller still has all the control. If you have a little bit of patience.
But see that I'm glad you said that, because the way it was worded, oh, you've been on the market 50 days. That lets me know that this agent's conversation with the buyer, oh, you stand a chance. They probably made several offers and got rejected. because now you got somebody.
But they
Oh,
do
the
stand a
market is.
chance.
They stand a chance, but what I'm saying is not on every house.
Mm.
Because this agent is doing their job. Oh, this been on the market 50 days. Let's talk them down on price, which makes sense. But you didn't do the research to see why it was on the market 50 days. Well, it was on the market. It was technically off the market because it was pending about 30 of those days. And in between, we had market time, then an offer, and then another offer. And here you are. And we did have a competing offer. If it wasn't for that contingency, this offer wouldn't
Way
even have
better.
been considered.
Yeah. It's
So
$15,000 difference.
you're advising your buyer on something that you perceive to be one thing when that's not really the case. So it goes back to making a phone call. Hey, what's going on? I see it came back on the market. I could have told you, well, it's only like that because we had 2 deals. Got another offer. Here's the situation, right? They just asked about the offer. Do you have any other offers? And I told them.
Hold on, but
So-
he did. It sounded like this agent did a good job, though.
Yeah,
So-
Oh, he did it. He did it.
Shit already.
He did. No, he did it. He did a good job. He did a good job, and we got the numbers to where it makes sense for the seller, and the buyer can still get their concessions. Right when it closed,
He
I'll
was just
tell y'all the
aggressive.
price.
Yeah. He just was.
No,
I think he
said-
just when he was saying that he probably wasn't really meaning you.
Yeah, but
It just feels like he's
understand-
meaning
I
you.
understand that, but I understand that when I show that to other agents, they like, what's his problem, right?
Yeah.
And the point I'm making is you still dealing with multiple personalities, different types of
Absolutely.
agents, and you can't take that approach. Look, here's my offer. I would love to do a deal with you. Let me know what your seller says. Simple as that. When you create that type of tension up front, you don't know
Yeah.
who's on the other side
Why
of
do you
that
think
email.
you can bully me into this? I'm gonna tell my seller. Let me let him read this message
Yeah,
you
and
just sent us.
I'm not even the one to bully because I don't own the house,
Mhm.
right? So, and that's the thing. So I just bring that up with co-op agents, like the way you communicate with each other, and then you don't know if it's benefiting or hurting your client.
So what y'all think about this? So we were and we still have to do this where we get some of our colleagues to come on live with us, but we got some feedback from Peterson Jackson team. And
Peterson
Ron
Jackson,
and
what
LaShawn,
up?
what's up?
they basically said they're pivoting in this market and their whole team is out here killing it. That was what they led with. I'm sorry, my phone
All right.
And they said concessions are back, VA people are getting back, commissions are negotiable. Not mine, but I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
So that's probably what that email was about. But just because like you said, a person, like I can take my house off the market, and I have a seller like that.
Yeah.
Me and Shaka talks about him sometimes, and he'd be like, okay, so what'd he say? And I'd be like, well, this particular seller, he'll list property,
Right.
but he just kind of be like, I don't have to sell my property.
Right.
I don't have to come to your price and terms if I don't like it. And as a matter of fact, this property belongs to me.
Right.
I offered it for sale, but if you can't give me what I want for it, then go away.
He's an investor, though, so he's a little bit different. So
Right.
he's an investor, but
Well, he did that with his primary residence. They all together did not sell their primary residence. And maybe the wife was right in that scenario because this was probably like 2 or 3 years ago. They listed the property
Right.
downriver, but in like the newer construction area. I think they listed it for like $250 at the time or something like
Right.
that, and didn't sell it. Because I think the people who work so they were listed a little bit above the market at the time, maybe like 10,000. But now they've probably gained like 70,000 in equity since then.
But I mean, he's an investor, so he
His patience level.
understands, how the transactions go. It's not his first rodeo.
Rodeo.
Yeah.
Where you got a lot of these buyers and sellers, this is either their first or second time buying a house. You know what I mean?
I got a client.
Buying or selling.
They've been planning on listing a property probably for about a year. I actually met them first in like 2020 and listing a house, and it has went up in value since then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the number I gave them was a range, and then the other day their neighbor was like, "Yeah, I'm thinking about selling my house. I'm gonna sell it for this," which is like 10,000 less than the range I gave them. They called me immediately, like,
Mhm.
"Let's go list," and I'm like, they want to know how that's going to impact their house. I said, well, one, your house is in better condition, but if you would have listed the property, and I understand life happens, you wouldn't have had that competition because guess what? That's neighbor, the only one that communicated with you that they're going to list their house. They're trying to get their neighbor to list their house for more so it don't impact the sale of their house. So we're starting to see that too. And I'm like, hey, I tried to tell you, but we gotta understand too as realtors, some people life happens, even though the numbers make sense. Even though the numbers make sense for them to sell it at that time, they got other things going on in life that won't allow them to take advantage of the market.
Is inventory still low? Did we just see that on here? Like, what's the answer? Because I don't know if that cleared it up.
Is it low or is it's still not enough?
It's still low compared to the amount of buyers that's in the market, I think. But I think it's more balanced. Like you just not getting 18 people per house.
Right.
Do we ever talk about inventory when we talk about historical data? I mean, so like the question I'm asking, if we look at maybe like a 2007-ish time frame.
Yeah, you're always going to talk
Yeah,
about inventory.
you got to
because
talk
it
about
dictates
inventory.
what market you're in. The inventory is what dictates the market.
Yeah.
How
It's
long you
supply
have
and
it.
demand. Yep.
Yeah.
How long it sit on the market, how many homes? Because the more opportunities the buyer has, let's say if every buyer has a choice of 10 homes versus 20 homes, they're not going to want to pay as much.
And
Because-
so I guess what I'm wondering about the type of inventory, does it matter?
Oh yeah, it does. It the type and the quality of it. Because at one point in time, your bank foreclosures were not that much different
That's what
than
I'm
the
getting
retail market. Because now you got to think about it like not every home was getting trashed and distressed and everything. So if this home comes on the market in fair to average condition and the bank listed for 10,000 less than this home, of course they're going to buy this home if it's still somewhat move-in ready versus the home that's, done up and everything. But who cares? I can paint the house myself.
What was your point? You said you was getting to?
Yeah, because of the type of inventory, I was just wondering, like, foreclosures. So, like, there was a time where it was like when foreclosures were like increasing, we really
Right.
didn't pay a whole lot. So we knew they were there. There were options, obviously, for people to be able to purchase those properties, but they really was kind of like a non-factor because they didn't affect appraisals. Some
Right.
people got them, some people didn't. But I'm wondering, like, what was the inventory that was not foreclosures back in that time frame in comparison to now? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Well, it was high. Well, we know it was way higher. The months on the amount of inventory we had was way
Days on the market and all that.
Well, the amount. I mean, so what is it? 5 to 6 months was when you get to a balance, and then after that is when you're gonna go into
Yeah.
a buyer's market.
Yeah,
And right now we're at like 3 months or something. like
Yeah.
Yeah.
that.
So what I'm asking is, so we don't really have, the amount of foreclosures that are available on the market right now are like very minimum. So I'm wondering, like, back in that time frame historically, how many more houses do we have on the market, like, that are, how many less are on the market in comparison to that market in terms of like regular
I see what you're saying.
retail
Right.
listings?
Yeah, we have to get that
Compared,
number.
we'll have to pull that data up. Yeah, we can easily pull that up and post it on our channel. But it's completely different now because you didn't have that. The first time when we start seeing bidding wars was about 2014, 15
12.
on the bank foreclosures.
No.
Well, you start seeing it
Shit, I would
in
say before then.
2012, you
I'd say
start
before
seeing
then.
it because in
HUD.
like Equator, which was REO Trans at the time, they had on the platform you can put in all the offers. And when we start getting multiple offers, then like Bank of America had their own multiple offer form that everybody that submitted an offer had to sign, the agent and the buyer, letting them know it was multiple offers. And that came 2012, 13. And when I look back, it'll be like, 2 offers. And then about 14, it would be like 13, 14 offers. And then like 16, it was less properties, more offers, less properties, more offers. And that's when you knew like, hey, this is changing. And then it was just less properties, more short sales and more retail properties. And then it just took off. So yeah, we'll have to pull the data on that.
Last question. So going back to my buyer's comment, is the market currently shit?
No.
No, I just think that the market is confused right
No, I
now.
think the people confused. The market is the
Yeah, I mean,
market.
okay, yes, the people are confused, right?
I just closed 2 deals yesterday and listed a property. Market the market. It don't care. People confused.
Facts.
Yeah.
People are confused. Like
And
some realtors, some of the buyers and some of the sellers, and the media is confused.
And here's the thing: the one in Oak Park, I told the seller. So he flipped one 4 blocks over, and he sold it above asking. And this, I said, man, get the other one on the market right now. It was still hot. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like May. Then he put it on the market a couple months later, completely different market set.
Mhm.
He was worried. I said, man, do not list this house above 235. He wanted 239.
Mm.
And it's set. Then we end up closing at 237. But had he listed sooner, we would have had multiple offers, probably would have went up to
Would have pushed
239.
the
Yep. Or if he would have listed between like 232, 235, it would have sold quicker. So his holding cost probably ate up that extra $2,000. Then the other property was a probate property. And I was so scared that the buyers were going to back out because the market was changing in the process of, it was an investor buying it for 168. So I'm looking at all the ARVs in the area, what they could still sell the property for, and it hadn't changed. Really hadn't changed as far as value, just the market time increase.
Mhm.
And of course, they stayed on because where else were they going to buy property of this size for 168 in the market like that, just outside of Indian Village? So it was just like, yeah, I'm staying in this
West Village.
deal. It was on Iroquois
Oh,
in a
okay.
48,000,
Oh
4800
yeah.
block. Yep. Big, large, you know what I'm saying,
Mhm.
home. So it's like that area is emerging. You can't get anything over there for like under 280 right
Mm-mm.
now. So yeah, I mean, no, it's
It's not
not.
shit. The people in it are just confused.
It's always a
What
good
John
market for
say it was
somebody.
wishy washy.
Yeah, it's always a good market.
All right, guys, that's a wrap.
All right.
We way past.